Today on Screen Rant, we take a closer look at the animated film The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, the latest adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth saga. So where does this new movie take place relative to the Lord of the Rings franchise timeline? The War of the Rohirrim is set 183 years before Peter Jackson's movies. This includes the events in the Hobbit films, which are set between 2941 to 2942 of the Third Age. So in terms of the new movie's actual year setting in Middle-earth, The War of the Rohirrim takes place in the year TA 2758. For context, that's 183 years before Bilbo Baggins set off on an adventure with Gandalf and the dwarves, and about 260 years before Frodo destroyed the One Ring at Mount Doom. At this point in Tolkien's saga, Sauron was still recovering within Dol Guldur, biding his time before making his presence known in the original trilogy, revealing never-before-seen events in the timeline. But while they're new to the film franchise, the cast is based on characters created by J.R.R. Tolkien. In particular, the new animated film will tell the story of the House of Helm Hammerhand, the ninth and last of Rohan's first line of kings. Although Hammerhand didn't appear in Peter Jackson's trilogy, there's a statue of him in Two Towers, and he's mentioned in the appendices of Return of the King. In the War of the Rohirrim, Helm Hammerhand must defend his people from the ruthless Dunlending, and Hammerhand will make his last stand in the ancient stronghold of the Hornburg, which will eventually become known as Helm's Deep. In short, the War of the Rohirrim chronicles the last major war fought on Middle-earth prior to the return and fall of Sauron in the War of the Ring. Curiously, Miranda Otto's Éowyn is the narrator of the War of the Rohirrim, even though her character wasn't even alive during these events. So while there's no confirmation that any of the original trilogy characters will appear in the War of the Rohirrim, several of them are old enough to have witnessed the events that will be covered. This includes Gandalf, Legolas, Saruman, Elrond, and Galadriel, any of which could have been involved in the war. What's sure is that the movie is bound to somehow address Sauron, who, despite being absent, has begun making his dark influence known during this part of the timeline. Following the new animated feature, Andy Serkis will direct and star in The Hunt for Gollum, an upcoming Peter Jackson-produced film set right before the original trilogy. Indeed, while there's nothing Tolkien wrote past the events of the original trilogy, entire ages of Middle-earth's past remain unexplored in film, and if The War of the Rohirrim turns out to be a success, it could pave the way for more adaptations across Tolkien's timeline. After these two upcoming films, which part of Middle-earth's past do you want to see in a live-action or animated adaptation? Tell us your thoughts in the comments and keep watching Screen Rant.